So for several weeks now, several, remember, a few is 3 to 4, several is 5 or more. So for several weeks now, I have been just, I can never say, oh, I'm at the home stretch. Oh, I can relax. Oh, no, never. Never, never, never. I can never say that. I can never, ever say that. Ow, ow. Joe's done. Joe is so disheartened, so disillusioned. He's just gonna retire. Between ageism and just dealing with just morons, just dealing with whatever, I don't know. Like, he's done. I briefly fell asleep and woke up, but he just needed to vent. We talked 2 days ago for 6.5 hours. The longest we'd ever talked, but he just needed to vent. He needed to vent and vent and vent and just, he is disgusted. He's disgusted. He's been in this field for decades, and he just, he has to be held accountable by higher ups. It reminds me of the Dilbert cartoon, where Dilbert's boss had no idea what Dilbert did, and yet he would act like he knew, and he'd expect things like that, and it doesn't work that way. We, my mom and I, my mother and I, were supposed to be with Joe weeks ago. But she took a turn for the worse. A major turn for the worse. Medical professionals at the hospital, the same one, the only one she's ever gone to in all these. Yeah. Since she bought that house and moved to that area in '07, so nearly 2 decades. The only regular hospital. Actually, that's not true. I'm sorry. She was in mental hospitals more than once and sent over to regular hospitals. Even Selena repeatedly said, it's a fucking miracle. Your mother's alive. I know. Over the years, many years ago. But lately, my mother has really, really just gone downhill. And she just amazingly still survives. Of course, the medical professionals are the same ones who wanted me to hasten it, to give them permission to. They don't know who they're dealing with, that's all. They don't know who they're dealing with. I would never do that. This plant was a gift from my mother's decades-long friend. Nearly 2 years ago. It's a house plant. It's thrived. didn't come in this self-watering pot. I bought this self-watering pot because I was like this, trying to keep this plant alive, because I've never had a plant before. I've never had a plant before. And it has sentimental value because throughout all of my mom's repeated hospitalizations, me repeatedly being told there's no hope for her, she's gonna die. They don't tell her that, but she can't understand. She doesn't believe it anyway. So you sit there and meet with her, you see her, and you tell her you love her, and well, you were just told that there's no hope and she's gonna die, and but I can't. The chances of this plant surviving being mailed to Joe, even though I do it by UPS and it does take only a couple of days versus, did it by FedEx, it'd be like 5 days. Could also do it by a second day priority mail, but I do UPS, and but you gotta hope for the best and expect the worst. It's kind of how life is now for so many of us. Hope for the best, expect the worst. Are my mother and I ever even gonna get to Joe? That's the question of the hour, isn't it? Isn't it? The plan was to be at Joe's and looking for houses, being either with Joe or more likely set up in some kind of place, and having my mom, finish up that she's entitled to her home health care, which again, being in the new nursing facility, she's entitled to that too, but they can't set it up ahead of time. It's just the logistics of it all are just staggering. A weaker person would have long given up. Remember, I was sick for weeks, and then I was trying to do what Joe wanted me to do, go the natural route. I even expedited shipping and got oregano P73 to take as a more advanced. I even called them up. Whatever the company is, can I take this 3 times a day? I know it says to take once a day, well, you can, but short term, yeah, I will. Short term while I'm sick. And for that, I was just taking regular, my own high quality oregano oil capsules. And then when I went the regular, the non-natural road, and broke down and called 911 from the side of the road because I tried to walk to a hospital in an unfamiliar area, and inevitably got lost because that's what I do. I get lost, or I spend my life having to walk because, again, bus drivers don't give a fuck and they depart from scheduled stops early, and they just, And then if I'm in an unfamiliar area, I'm it's just not good. I don't expect this plant to make it. But nobody wants it. Nobody wants my plant. So I can either just destroy it myself, which I'm not going to do. Leave it somewhere and just, let it slowly die. I'm like, no, I'm going to try to mail it. It says you can. I'm doing all the things it says to do to mail a potted plant. You wrap the entire box in bubble wrap. You stick the plant, potted plant, in a plastic bag and seal it up so it retains moisture. I guess it can breathe. I guess it survives. Again, it's only going to be a couple days, but it can easily get crushed. It can easily get destroyed by somebody who wants to destroy it, who wants to destroy something marked live plant, because knows that someone took the time to mail it out and pay to have it mailed out. And, chances of this plant, me ever seeing this plant again, are slim to none. But I'll at least know that I tried, right? At least know I tried. It doesn't have pests. It's never been outside. It's been just grown. It had its original soil, and then I got Miracle Grow for it, and it's thrived. And I got this self-watering pot, which is, I don't know why everyone doesn't use self-watering pots, but, and the plant has thrived. Joe does plants. If the plant miraculously survives, just like my mother has miraculously survived, and if we're going to be blunt, I've miraculously survived. Then Joe can probably teach me how to make the plant be bigger, but it's not going to survive. If it didn't have sentimental value, then you don't care about it. You just buy a new plant. It's not about that. It's the only plant I've ever had in my life, and I kept it alive all these years, almost 2 years. All while I was repeatedly convinced my mother was going to die. Like all the nursing facilities my mother has been in over these years, the first time ever was, during the pandemic, when you couldn't visit. All of these years, never ever had a problem with these facilities administering. My mom's been on that fluoxetine decanoate injection that she used to only have to get once a month. Then it, and at a certain dosage. Then it was increased and still once a month. And then she ends up in mental hospitals, and they changed the dosage. And then last time we have to justify keeping her here. I said, and they were gonna have her come home. Well, she doesn't seem. I was already all happy that they hadn't changed her meds at all. That was a miracle in a mental hospital. And then they're like, well, if we're going to keep her longer, we're going to have to do something. I have to justify it, so I'm going to make her shot every 2 weeks. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much, So that's what they did. They made the shot every 2 weeks. And then when she behaved, they sent her home like a couple days later, but meanwhile, more, But this place, and even church woman was like, why won't they? They have nurses. They are an independent run. I can't make them give her shot. They won't do it, okay? And a chair costs hundreds of dollars to go get her shot. I'm not paying for that. That's ridiculous. Medicare should pay for it. If she has to have this shot and she's in a skilled nursing facility where she needs to be for rehab after fighting for her life and nearly dying more than once. She went back and forth from the ICU. She wasn't just in the ICU steady and then in a room and then to rehab. No, it was back and forth. Back and forth. Then I approved a blood transfusion because Joe's just disgusted. He's like disgusted not about that, but about They can't tell you why she, no, but that doesn't make any sense. That's like, and he gives an analogy, like blah, blah, blah. They can't tell you why she's losing blood, but they say she is, and that a blood transfusion might help. Yeah, and it did help, but the fact that they can't tell me why, I mean, that's bizarre, but it's all bizarre, you know? And I learned something with all these mailing out of everything. Um, I learned that something I'm hardly the only one who doesn't know this. I had to mail out more stuff. And I spent over $500. No, I guess the computers I spent over. How much did I spend? I guess it wasn't that bad because it's 63. No, it's a lot. It's a lot. I'll have to calculate it, but I would have never put the two computers on the pack rat container, ever, ever, ever. Okay, not on your life. But there was tons more room in the pack rat container, and I ran out of time packing everything up. I was trapped in a living nightmare. I was sick the last 4 days, and then I never got better. So I got to rest in the last hotel. And it was one that, had a fridge and a stove, you know. That's the only one. It's the only one. Other ones don't have that. Different people from my mom's church who were nice enough offered the woman to come and get me. And then they're like, all your stuff's not going to fit. Why do you have so much stuff? Well, this should have all been mailed out. No, you don't understand. In an ideal world, it would have already been mailed out. We ran out of time. Okay? We ran out of time. Okay? The last thing church woman was she'd done enough over the weeks. You hadn't done anything, to help me. She had done enough. And there was no mailing it out. There was like, just get Laura here with all her stuff and we'll deal with it later. Just get her here with all the stuff. We'll deal with it later. And as I already said, I'm such a fuck up. You think I wasn't just disgusted with myself. I'm lucky that she was okay. She at one point wasn't treating me very nice, but then she apologized. She's like, I'm like, saying this, that, or whatever, I should have done this and should have done that and should have been faster and should have, it doesn't help. She's like, I know, I realize that. You're just kicking me when I'm down, but I'm kicking myself worse than you ever could. Ever could, ever could. She apologized. She realized it. She's like, I know, I realize that. There's nothing we can do. It is what it is. It is what it is. And then she didn't want to go at night. She's like, well, I guess we're going at night anyway. But you said you didn't want to go at night, but I guess we don't have a choice. And then I didn't have my credit card, and then it was too late. I did not have my credit card. And it was, now it's late. We weren't going to, no way, we were going to have me go. And we're done. We're not going to have me go. It would take hours to look for it. So I went back to an empty place. Just thinking, oh my God, only you, Laura. At every given moment, I'm terrified. Any given moment, I'm afraid. I'm going to lose my license. I'm going to lose my mom's license. We're not going to be able to do anything without a license. Like, you can't even go to a hotel without a license. It's just scary fucking shit. It's just scary. It's continuously like this. That's how I am, continuously. It's just awful. But the woman, she's like, this, you have too much stuff. It's not going to fit. What? It is. It's less than it was. I ate a lot of food. I threw stuff away, but still. And then I wound up getting boxes. I wound up on my own going on the bus and mailing out my computer. Mailing out my computer. It's a good thing too because this woman, they're older, let's say, like my mom, and her husband knew she was coming to get me, knew we were gonna mail out. I told him that we were gonna, and then he forgot, and he packed up their car with stuff, and I'm like, my God, she was all upset too. She's like, what is he doing? He's not thinking. Just like you guys come to get me and my stuff, and I'm trying to get it downstairs with help from one of the maintenance guys, the whatever, and it was already partially downstairs, and you start loading up your car with my stuff that has glass, that has drinks. Like I needed to supervise you and tell you this is crushable, this is whatever. You can't just get somebody who has a ton of stuff and just be throwing it haphazardly in your car. Like what the fuck? I you should have come earlier. You come right when I got a late discharge of 2 hours later. That was one. But you shouldn't have started loading your car. So I come downstairs with the rest of my stuff. We left the other stuff behind the desk. And the first thing she says is, this is not all going to fit. Why do you have all this stuff? You know we have an extra person. Oh my God, what do you want from me? I couldn't do a damn thing. I don't drive. I'm in the boonies anyway. Like, I can't do anything. It wasn't supposed to be you coming to get me. We fit it fine in her smaller car. But yeah, but she was just the two of you. Plus, she parked it up to the ceiling. You shouldn't do. Yeah, whatever. You shouldn't. Your husband shouldn't be throwing this stuff in here. In the end, it opened up. Something opened up that I planned on drinking. Whatever. I was deer in headlights. I'm like, what are you doing? This is my stuff. You at least wait. I'm coming right down. You don't just start putting it all in your car when you came right when I needed to be out, so I had to get stuff out. I just, oh my God, it's not your stuff. He spilled fucking cherry juice all over this right the first day he was here, but all over my boom box too. Who knows? I'm still mailed it out. So then we go and mail all this stuff, and again, he's just not thinking. He's just not thinking. That's all. He's not thinking. But I found out because when we went to mail all that stuff and they were helping us get it in with a dolly, it was 11 boxes. 11 boxes, very, very small. The same kind that I'd had delivered from Walmart before. 11 boxes. And it was 10 boxes. And then one box from that I got from the hotel. And my monitor. And I was like, be careful of that stuff. The guy was just, he was a young kid, he was cynical. He's like, and then he educated me. He educated me on something I've never known in my life, and most people don't know. But I looked it up, and it is the truth. These stuff, when you mark it fragile, sometimes it actually puts a target on it, and they want to hurt it if you mark it fragile. This place, if you mark something fragile, it means nothing. These things, he told me, he's like, I could throw this across this pavement and it wouldn't be the same as what they do to these. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, they drop 30 feet. I'm like, my jaw fell open. What do you mean all packages drop 30 feet? It's like, yeah, but that's not true. It's a test. They don't all drop 30 feet. The fact is, it's how you pack it. The fact is, the fragile label means nothing. And this place actually sells the stickers. Different UPS stores or different UPS store. The one that I've always gone to, they market fragile and they don't sell you stickers or whatever. But the fragile label means nothing. And in a lot of, maybe not a lot, but in some instances, it actually backfires on you. So I learned that. It's all on how you pack it. You need to pack your fragile stuff preparing for it to drop 30 feet down. Now, the fact is, it can drop 30 feet and that's all fine and good. But if it's lighter and something heavy falls on it and crushes it, well, then those are the breaks, right? The chances of this plant surviving are, it's something bad will happen to it, but I at least will have tried and I'll say goodbye. And that's it. Nobody wants the plant. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants it. And if nobody wants it, I have a choice just to kill it. I'm just gonna mail it. I don't care. I don't care what I pay. going to mail it. Preparing to never see it again. Because what does that matter? I had to visit my mom. I still had to pack, and I had to prepare to never see her again, you know. They wanted me to make it happen just like before. They wanted me. That's what they do. They want you, when it's that dire, to make it happen. When I refuse, and she's like, well, I don't know what we're going to do about feeding her. We'll have to give her. No, you just, they decide that someone like that doesn't need to be any longer. They look at all the time she's in and out of the hospitals, and they decide. And they expected me to go along. And then I didn't. And I get to read it in the portal. I at least took her off of full code. You know, if you tell me there's no hope for her and her heart and all that, but they made it think about the heart, and then I find out that that's not even true. That whatever the heart deal is, you can survive. So they just... That thing with the 30 feet, it's true. And it's not just UPS, it's all of them. But they don't all drop 30 feet. This guy led me to believe they all drop 30 feet. That is not true. So I'm like, why would they do that? That makes no sense. Why would you design a system where every package is going to drop 30 feet and tons and tons aren't going to make it? It's not. It's a test they do, and it's random. They randomly, they put different ones, and if you get the luck of the draw, and then like it says online, and if bowling balls happen to be falling on top of you, then bye-bye, your package is history, no matter how well you pack. But people who sell glass items, fragile items, their customers feel better if they mark it fragile. So that's the deal. I learned stuff. But look at those people. They go out and party, and the roof collapses on them, and over 200 just dead like that, dead, and 100. Last time it's 100, maybe even more. Could be close to 200 injured. Some could be critically, and some could die because the death toll was less, and then people end up dead who were critically injured. So, you know. One minute they're partying and having a great time, the next they're toast. They're history, they're gone. Just like that. So I'm mailing my baby. I've never had a plant in my life. I'm mailing it to Joe, but I don't believe it's going to survive, and it probably won't. But it says you wrap it in a bag, you seal it up. I guess it lives inside there, and tons of bubble wrap, and put it. I got the smallest box I could to fit it, so it's nice and snug, and you fit any areas it's not. It says to wrap it in newspaper, the leaves. I don't know about that, but you know. And then where it's being mailed might not accept it too, so there you go. I'll probably never see it again.